All right, I want to talk to y'all about Dragonkin the Banished today. This is a new ARPG that just released into early access. It's on PC and they're working on getting it to Steam Deck, and they are planning on coming to consoles a little bit later. This game right here, I love it. And just disclaimer, it's the first time I was given an actual review copy of a game. I got it 2 days ago. I've been playing it nonstop. I really wanted to take this opportunity to give y'all just a true Hawg review of it. But I think it's actually going to stand up against a lot of these other ones. There's a lot of things that I was looking for. Me and Aaron actually were on the Town Portal podcast. I substituted for Frosty, and we talked to the head developer and the producer for the game. And I really didn't have a lot of expectations going into it because the game really hadn't been on my radar. Played the demo a little bit, but after coming out of the interview, I was just super excited, super happy to see the transparency that the devs are having. And it was nice to actually hear that they were playing PoE 2. That was their current game that they were playing at the time. So highly encourage y'all to at least give it a look. It's $20, but at least let me tell you why. Come on, you piece of junk. It's Hawg, baby. How about it, y'all? You got Hawg. Thanks for stopping by. Disclaimer: this video is not sponsored. Okay, this is just I've kind of been in a slump with ARPGs. I guess a content slump. Not really feeling a lot of fun. And so I was hoping this was going to change that, and so far it's felt really good. I've been really wanting a game that y'all have heard me cry about it for the past, I don't know, 6 months, that I really want somebody to try to innovate or take a risk or whatever. They're definitely doing that here. Some of the ideas here are not 100% original, but the way that they've implemented them feels really good. Now, I'm just going to tell you, the very first thing that you're going to notice, well, the very first thing that you're going to encounter when you load the game is you're going to come into the prologue. Admittedly, the dev says this is probably not a good idea. They wanted to show everybody the full kind of character power that you were going to have. The problem with the prologue is you won't be able to interact with anything. And by that, I mean the map's down. You can't see the world map, the overlay, inventory, can't see your ancestral grid, you can't see any of that. So I highly recommend, I mean, if you want to do it, that's fine, but I recommend you just hit escape and skip the prologue. It will bring you right to your character creation screen where you can just make the character. So there's nothing wrong with doing the prologue. It's fun to experience the power, but it will give you kind of a bad look at the game, thinking there's no overlay, there's no inventory, there's none of that, because you'll be pressing buttons all over the place trying to access that, when I guess it just wants you to play. Just skip all that, go straight into a character creation, and you'll be fine. So we'll talk about characters, and we'll talk about a couple of features that will immediately get y'all's attention. So right now in early access, we have 3 characters. And the 3 characters, they're actually really cool and they're really unique. Now, we got to touch on something before I hit create a character, because it's going to ask me a couple questions. So the number one thing is it's offline. That's number one. I know a lot of y'all just are dying for an offline mode in a game. This has it, especially right now. It's all offline. The multiplayer is planned for autumn time, fall time. There's a roadmap out talking about all the different things that they're going to do. I'll flash it right here, but they do have a very steady content plan. What's very cool about it that I need to point out immediately in the beginning of the video is there's no MTX, there's no battle pass, there's no in-game shop, there's none of that. They're going to try to not do a live service model and come out with downloadable content with that you purchase, like expansions. We'll see how that works. That's a breath of fresh air for me. I'm really sick of live service development games. It's just an excuse to string you along and stuff. I feel like if they don't do live service, they'll be forced to make meaningful content that'll keep you engaged with the game. That being said, your city is your hub of everything. So when you create a city, you either make an online city or an offline city. All you can do is make an offline city right now, but you have an offline mode, the power goes out, well, not power goes out, but internet goes out or whatever, for whatever reason, you can play offline. Another really cool feature, so once you go to create a character, y'all won't see this until you actually go to make your second character, but this is a group selection. This is something that just, when I saw this feature in the game, it was just awesome. So y'all know there's a big debate in the ARPG community. Should we have a campaign skip? Should we not have a campaign skip? I personally believe there should be a choice. I think that if you've already gone through the campaign, you wanted to play the campaign, you've already gone through it, it's nice, you liked it, whatever, and then you just want to piddle around with a new character, I always felt like you should be able to skip the campaign and just go straight into dungeons or go do some kind of activity and just level around and mess around in Theorycraft and do builds or whatever the deal is. Well, you get that option in Dragonkin. So you've got groups. You see we've got multiple groups here. One's a story, one's in-game, or two are in-games. When you go to make a group, it's going to ask you story or prologue, skip that, story or in-game. You can make just a brand spanking new character and go straight to the in-game activities and mess around and do that all day long. You can travel around in the world, mess around in that, and just walk around if you want to do that. You don't have to do the campaign. But here's another twist on top of it that's really cool. If you start a character, like I did with my knight, and wanted to go at level 15, I wanted to go see what the end game was like. I can take him out. He was in Group A. I can take him out of Group A and put him into Group B, which is where he is right now, in the end game. If I am done exploring the end game and I want to go back to the campaign, I simply take him out of Group B, put him back where my story is. It happens to be Group A, and he goes right back to where the story was. Nothing's changed, none of that. Another twist on that is the story in this group, whatever group is in, is not affected by anything. So that storyline, you could take one character, get the story, halfway done with Act 1, take that character out, take a brand new character, put him in, and pick up exactly in the story where the first character left off. To me, that's the really cool kind of stuff that we hadn't seen in a lot of games before, that allows you just to kind of do what you want to do with your characters. That's something that I definitely wanted to point out to a lot of people, is that you get sick of playing the story, pull him out of the story, put him in the end game. You get sick of getting your hiney hole whipped in the end game, take him out of the end game, put him right back in the story. No problems. So we'll make a new group with a new story, and you've got 3 characters right now. We got a 4th coming out during early access. The 4th one is called Tracker. So we've got a Knight, Oracle, and Barbarian. They are elemental related. So the Knight is fire, the Oracle's lightning, the Barbarian's cold. The Barbarian and the Knight are melee. The melee feels actually really good. The Knight has one of his starting skills is kind of like a sweep in PoE. It's a really wide AoE melee attack. The Oracle right here, she's a sorceress, basically lightning based. They all have, before I forget, I'll touch on it. They all have an innate skill. So for the Knight, it's fuel. So it's a secondary form of resource. So the one skill that I've used with it is flamethrower. It uses fuel. So you can use elemental and then turn around and use your melee. It's true combo. Use your melee, deal the same kind of damage, and not use up the same resource. Now, transparency. It is a generator spender. However, it's not a painful generator spender. And that's a question that I kind of grilled them on during our interview that we had with the dev was, generator spenders aren't that fun. Is there ways to work around that And he said, so in the very beginning of the game, you're going to have to generate a bit, and then you can work around it. From my experience so far, the generation has not been at Diablo 4 levels. Sometimes you having to generate, but if you keep an eye on your play style and kind of get in a pattern of what you're doing, really wasn't having too many mana options at all, or too many problems with mana at all. And there are ways to leech and regen some of that mana early. The vision innate skill is basically it boosts the next skill's power and reduces its energy cost, which is really nice. Helps conserve some mana with the Oracle. And rage for the Barbarian. Any damage dealt or taken fills the rage gauge. Damage dealt will increase while energy costs are reduced. There's already ways around some of this. This is a spin to win character. There's other in the demo I played, it's like throwing ice boulders and stuff. I've yet to find the skill again in this build right here, but this one's my favorite so far. Is the Barbarian. He's super tanky, he's aggressive, just a true kind of barbarian, shouts, all of that good stuff. The tracker's coming. It's a rogue / archer type deal. Anyway, you pick whichever one that you want to make, and it's going to bring you right in. We're just going to go straight in with my 15 knight that I have here. Now I'm going to start showcasing some quality of life stuff that we expect in an ARPG, and it just continues to check all the boxes. So the first one is, naturally we're going to want a pause button. So it doesn't say pause right here, but it's a pause. If you hit escape, it pauses the whole game. As you see, we can cast right there and pause the game. So that's a big check. A lot of guys need offline mode and they need a pause. Those are both here. Now, the next question everyone's going to have is, does it have WASD? Yes, it does. The next question that everyone's going to ask is there a dodge roll? There's not a dodge roll, but there's a dash. So to me, that's better. It does have a cooldown. It's very similar to Diablo 4, but it's not a clunky roll. Now, what's the playstyle like, Hawg? Is it zoom zoom? Is it clunky? Is it slow? There's plenty of movement available. There's plenty of move speed. There's movement skills that will cover a lot of ground, plus the dash. So it's not slow. It's not engineered to be PoE2 slow. It's not also engineered to be zoom, zoom, zoom. I hate using that word, but you can go fast, but it's not crazy. There's opportunities all over the place to buff move speed and give you more attributes and all that good stuff. So they're not stingy with anything like that. There's nothing that would make you feel like, man, I wish they'd make me go faster. Like, there's plenty of opportunity. The number one thing you're going to notice when looking at everything, especially when I pull up the UI, is that it looks like Diablo 4. So if I move my camera right now, now you're going to see, okay, Hawg, that looks like Diablo 4. And it honestly makes me wonder if these guys did some outsourced work on Diablo 4. All that being said, the more I played the game, the more I felt like this is how Diablo 4 should have been. So I don't care if it looks like Diablo 4, if the UI looks like Diablo 4. They did the game right. So let's just rip this band-aid off now. The difference is the inventory is here instead of being on the bottom, but it has very strong D4 vibes. That does not mean the game is pissed though. So a couple other quality of life things. When you go to the town, you can teleport, fast travel to all of these different things. I'm not going to highlight them too much because I'll talk about the town a little bit more in depth. If you pull up the world map, you can I'm talking about you can be in the middle of the jungle and press world map, and you can instant teleport to any of these that is not blocked off in red. So that's really cool too. If you feel like just going out to ancient ruins and hanging out, you can go do that. You also have a local map. So here's your local map. Just so happens to be of the town. So if you get lost or whatever, I'm lost all the time, the area map pulls up. It's also got an indicator here, tells you exactly where you need to go for the next quest. Sometimes there's like an area notification, like this general area, but I personally get so frustrated when I'm trying to find an objective during the campaign or whatever, and I just can't find it. And I've looked all over the map, and there's one teeny tiny little area. Can I just get so little assistance? I personally like that. On top of these two maps, there's also an overlay, which you can zoom in and out of as well. Um, when you don't have the overlay on, it's got a little mini map. So there's tons of those options there. Speaking of options, you have two views. You've got the action view, which looks like this, and you've got the classic view. I personally like the action view. You've got the classic view. Now, the camera in action view walks or like rotates a different view with you. And I know that sounds scary, but I actually like it. If you give it a chance and see what happens with it, you'll probably like that. If not, the classic view is there for you. Very important for me is cursor size adjustment. It's here. We've got 4 all the way from small to very large. I hate having my cursor lost in all the on-screen effects and stuff, so this just fixes that. We've got resource bars. We've got heal values. Damage numbers are here if you like damage numbers. If you don't like damage numbers, you can disable them, and you can further filter down what damage numbers are displayed. Normal damage if you want them everywhere like Diablo 4, or if you only want to see your crits or dots, you can do that too, as well as your loot display. And the really cool one here is the battle log. So the battle log is you hit B, it brings up your battle log here. It references whatever skills you have equipped. It reflects that here. When you hit something, it shows what your damage is. It shows what the Wyrmling skill damage is, what your bleed is, what your crit is, what your health recovered or life leech is. On top of that, why do we need this? Because we have a training dummy. You heard that right. So training dummy, you can sit in here and build away and do things here. So that's a really nice feature to have. It adds up damage. You can reset it on the fly, just whatever. If you're in combat and want to reset it, you can just hold B. But that's kind of a common thing that I've noticed is there's lots of little quality of life stuff like that. What else did I want to show y'all in the UI? We got all that covered. Plenty of audio options to customize, plenty of sliders, and the controls. So you can do regular old school point and click to move, or you can do WASD by selecting keyboard. Your move left to right, up, down, left, right. Mouse aiming, you can toggle that. Plenty of options as far as that goes as well. The town right here is one of my favorite parts of the game besides the Ancestral Grid. I'll talk about that here in a second. The town provides you with all kind of bonuses. You see the city bonuses right here. My town is at a level 5. It does not require additional chores like it did in Settlers League in PoE. So Dragonkin, you level your town up as your character levels in the world. It's very nice. You can customize which of these bonuses you take as you progress. So this is what I mean. You go to the city upgrades. There's 3 city screens. You go to the city upgrade screen. These are the different zones. Each one has a different thing. For example, the apothecary right here, I had to choose to unlock this so I could actually create potions. You can create, just like in PoE, create certain potions with certain effects and all, but it does require materials that you gather out in the world. If you want another one, You have to unlock the jeweler. It's one of the first ones you can unlock. Pythia right here gives you more ancestral grid. Um, just different ones to unlock here. On top of all the city upgrades that you get, there's multiple NPC vendors that you can use. That's a really cool feature too. So, like I said, the jeweler where you craft your rings. There is an enchanter that's coming during early access, which will be very similar to the Diablo 3 style enchanter, which you have this really nice piece of gear. You need a garbage attribute switched off of there. You can roll that and choose from different ones, a pool of different randomly generated ones. There will be ways to break the items, they said, so we have to be careful about that. There's another one like the Artificer here, the item corruption transfer service. Um, fragment creations and ornament creations and side quest mission giver and a treasury guy and arsenal. This is a big one too that you can save different builds. That's coming during early access as well. But that's kind of what the town has to offer. And again, you can fast travel to any of these locations, so there's no having to walk around everywhere like, oh my God, this takes so long. You can immediately come right into the town. Okay, I need to go to the merchant. Boom, sell all my stuff. Okay, I need to go to the jeweler. Boom, make a ring or two. I need to go to the apothecary. Boom, do my thing at the apothecary. And now I'm ready to go run some more in-game things or go do more of the campaign or whatever. I come right back to the marketplace. That right there is a huge thing for me. I can't stand I already take too long to do things and I already like spend too much time in town. So saving me from having to walk around, just letting me teleport around everywhere is just, it's sweet. Okay, so you see my little dragon. We have a Wyrmling in this game. This is another feature that they have. The Wyrmling is your companion. He's like a mercenary. He is super powerful. He makes you have infused powers called symbiosis. As long as you get your ancestral tree up to a certain thing, I'll show you that here in a second. You definitely don't want to overlook the Wyrmling. The Wyrmling has his own attribute tree just like you do. Show y'all our attribute tree in a second. He's got his own attribute tree. You can fully customize it. Everything is full refundable at any time for free, no problems. So if you make a boo-boo or whatever, you can fix it. You can choose a different Wyrmling at any time by going to the town and going to the jailer. Fast travel right to the jailer. There's no loading screens, you notice, to go to any of this stuff. You just go straight there. It's a really nice breath of fresh air. So you can choose ice, fire, toxic, or lightning. You can swap them out whenever you want to. There's one thing to note about these. The skills, so the Wyrmling skill fragments, show you those in a second, that drop kind of correlate, not 100%, but pretty much to the element that you've got selected. So if you've got a lightning Wyrmling equipped, you're going to get a lot of lightning Wyrmling fragments that drop. So just keep that in mind. If you're wanting to try a different element, just switch the Wyrmling up. Each one, as you see, keeps their level, so nothing bad happens. Another thing you can do at this vendor is make armor for your Wyrmling in different color, kind of customize him. And it's not just cosmetic, it also gives you bonuses. Like this one gives you bonus walk speed and increases your loot quality. So one does dodge cooldown, one does bonus HP, one does max energy. I haven't been able to mess with this because I don't have the mats yet to do so. This game is not like D4, give you everything in an hour and you're done. I've got about 20, 25 hours in this game so far. Let's actually see what it is before I give you a fisherman's exaggeration. 15 hours. Okay, so I've got 15 hours in this particular build, in the review build, and just don't have the mats to do any kind of upgrades like that, and that's perfectly fine because I'm only level 15. It is a grind to get, you're going to fight, you're going to get XP a little bit slower, which is a good thing. Talk about that later. Now, if we go into our attributes, I'll touch on this first. So you have attributes, you have talents, and you have the Ancestral Grid, okay? Your attributes right here come from leveling up. These are, like I said, fully refundable at any time. One of the pillars of the development is theory crafting. They want you to be able to theory craft and play with your build at all times with no punishments whatsoever. Nothing that's bricking your build, nothing that makes you stay in the game and just hate your life and have to farm. Okay? They want you to have fun. So that's something that I noticed immediately. Attributes, okay, if I don't want to mess with courage, I can just take them out. It's important to know that each one of these, so we got courage, intellect, resilience, agility. As I click on these, you see right here that they highlight different attributes or stats in the attribute area here. This is what, so if I choose agility and I start leveling up agility, you see that armor and block damage gets increased. This number here is what you put in here is what it affects. So that's how you can kind of plan out. You need more attack and maximum HP, then you go to courage and you sink some more things into courage. Once you hit each one of these ticks, it's going to open up a side passive that you can choose. One. So like this one here, reduces potion cooldown, increases max block. You're not going to use a point if you choose one. Once you hit this line, it's free to choose. You can also kind of be tactical with how you do this, because some of these you don't really need. Some of these you do need. So if we look at stats, this is basically your character screen. Just want to point out this is a quality of life thing. There's tons and tons and tons of stats in here that measure everything you can want to know about your character, everything that we really expect in the ARPG. But there's an extra thing that I hadn't seen before. You can actually pin a stat. So if you like, looking at what your walk speed is or your, XP or loot quality or any of this, you can just pin it. Boom. Got all these stats right here. Again, common theme throughout the game, give the players options if they want to do something. I'll be patient and wait for content additions if I've got tons of quality of life stuff and I don't have to cry about things. That's a big deal to me. Now let's just touch on talents. I hadn't been able to do anything with talents yet because it's, I guess, a little later on in the game type deal. But talents are how you hone in what your character is going to do. So we had asked him if it was kind of like ascendancies, and he said, not really. It's more of a specialization of just honing that build in. So for example, this accuracy talent grants a low chance of dealing damage that ignores armor when the character deals damage directly. So if you get that to level 3, it's got a 5% chance and does 200% damage. So you can really define your builds by going through these right here. And I believe they said there would be around mid 20, maybe low 30 of these points to where, don't hold me to that. I think it was 22, 24, something like that, to where you could have a few of these at level 3 and select a couple of other ones. So this is kind of something that is to be determined. I hadn't tried it out, but it's kind of something new. It's more stats. That's the common theme around the game. You'll notice it immediately, and I ask y'all to have an open mind about it a little bit, because we have been asking for something that thinks outside the box. So you'll see that there are not build defining unique items in the traditional sense. There is that in the game, but it's not like a mage blood that you need. It's not a headhunter that you need. It's really in the form of a fragment that defines your build. And then the items that you find, they are stat sticks, but not in the plain, boring kind of way that you think when I say stat stick. Is all of the different item rarity levels and all that the game has. Once you get into the higher, like draconic and divine levels, they start giving you the talent points that you need to complete out this section of the tree or the interface. So that's where some of this all starts intertwining into a big puzzle that you have to put together. And I'm kind of really wondering how build guides are going to work, because of the RNG factor of the Ancestral Grid. So we'll just look at the Ancestral Grid. Something to note now is every character's Ancestral Grid is different. And what I mean by that is the shape. So this one right here is for the knight. The barbarians looks like this. The oracles looks like this. So there's different sections that unlock at different levels. As you start the game, you have a very small area. As you progress through, it opens up. You see there's still some that are blocked off. They tell you what level they unlock at. This is where all the magic happens. Think of this as skill gems in PoE with support gems, but there's no limit to the support gems, and you can move them around to achieve different things and different buffs, and different ones can affect clusters of skills and stuff. And on top of that, this is where you can get your symbiotic powers to make your Wyrmlings super powerful and, imbue your stuff with other effects. So this is what's really got me super interested in the game. When I started playing the demo, I found myself, played on stream, and I found myself just completely enthralled by this, just fascinated by this. Now that I understand how it works, it's even more fascinating. I'm not going to go into the in-depths of how it works and make a separate video for that. You can check that out. It'll be on the channel. But just note that this is where your kind of power is going to come from. Each one of these, like this, these have rarity on them. So kind of a basic to think of is you see this number next to the lightning bolt, the 2, and then you see when applied 1, 3, 15, 30. The higher the rarity is, the more that number goes up. And so if I want a 30% chance of getting a double strike, I need 3 lightning. So I need this one and a regular common one to get 3 lightning. But later on in the game, you can get some that have 30 lightning on them and have like 4 different boosters attached to it. And so if the RNG rolls really good, you could get some really nasty stuff. That just, I mean, the possibility's endless right now. So that was the biggest thing that I think a lot of people are going to enjoy is the Ancestral Grid and the possibilities that it brings to the table. What's also really nice about it is you have 50 areas, so you can bring 50 fragments out here. This was an example of here's a skill with 2 modifiers that roll. That's got 3 spots. This can be, some of these can be nasty. It's like, I found a 4 or 5. But you can, if you're working on stuff, you can just bring them out here and float them. And then you're done with them. You right click, they go right back over here. You've got 4 pages of it. So we went over the attributes, went over the stats, went over the talents, the Wyrmling. And I guess the major question that everybody's going to have now is, what does the end game look like? So let's show you what it looks like. So as I said earlier, you can jump in the end game at any time. You just go into a group, and I guess I'll just show you how to do that. When you make your first character, you'll see this knight dude right here in the town. Fast travel over here. It shows you the different difficulty levels. There are a bunch of them. They do have the loot, quality, gold gain, XP gain modifiers, just like Diablo 3. Goes all the way up to Calamity 1, where you get access to divine items. This is going to be the most difficult content in the game right now. All the way up to Apocalypse, which will be released in future implementations in early access. This is where you change your group. So if you're in this, you start in the story, you're ready to go to end game, you just make a group in game. Okay. We are already in the end game, so I don't need to do that. When you're done, when you're in the actual end game group, you'll see the hunting board right here. This is your end game content as of right now, early access launch. Okay. I didn't know. All I knew was the demo was chaos, was the chaos dungeon, which is basically a dungeon clear. They call it dungeon purification, but the hunt board is what's really cool. So it's kind of like Sanctum, I guess, a little bit. Each hunt that you choose has a spoil, so a reward associated with it that you only get one time, but you can replay the hunts and get items and stuff like that. But the hunt is a multi-layer journey or quest, I guess. You know, you go here, you do this, you go to a, so far what I've done is I've had an escort quest. It wasn't annoying yet. It could get annoying, but it wasn't annoying yet. It had a big radius to it. I've had typical Diablo style find the people. These are pretty big maps too. And then I've had straight dragon fights, like a uber boss type deal. And when I'm talking about like some PoE style, there's fire all over the place or poison all over the place, or one of them looked like an alligator and he stood up and just completely blasted me with poison. The boss fights are not Mickey Mouse. You can get killed. You have six deaths. You don't have an XP penalty, but you do have a slight reservation on your health. It's nothing really too noticeable, but once you die the sixth time, you go back to town and you got to start over. So at the end of each one of these, there's a dragon encounter. So if you're, you get through clearing a dungeon, you know, one of them, it'll feel like a greater rift. It'll give you a progress bar and all. You get done, you've got 5 deaths, and you go to do the dragon fight. You're on your last life. You don't want to die. It is extremely challenging. Some of y'all won't maybe find it that way, but just the fact that you can alter it with the difficulty level, and the hunts in here, you cannot modify the difficulty level. So like when you get over here to hunt number 7, it's in desolation. So to actually complete that and get the permanent move speed bonus that this hunt gives you, you have to be able to do a desolation 3. It's kind of like maps in that regard. Like it's got augmentations that happen to that specific area or hunt. There's multiple areas. But when you're done, you know, it gives you, like this one gives you a elite dragon to fight, which gives you some nice rewards. This one here gives you a pile of loot and increases your gold earnings. This one here gives you an additional slot for augments. This one gives you a blessing. You become briefly invulnerable after receiving too much damage. So it does give you, this one's attribute points. This one's more fragments, increases the ancestral fragment drop rate. Like some of these you really want to work for, and they're not just killing the dungeon over and over. Now, I'm sure they will or could get repetitive, you know, if we do them too long, but there's a pretty good bit of them. From the 2 that I've done with each character, they seem pretty unique. So the devs did say there was handcrafted ones and procedurally generated ones mixed in. So I thought that was pretty cool. And then we got the chaos. Chaos allows you to select kind of just how you want to do basically a randomly generated hunt with a dragon at the end. I haven't done one of these yet, so I'm not sure if we can actually select these yet in early access, or if it's something they're going to implement later. But yeah. So now I'm going to show you some footage of my gameplay in some of these dungeons. Show you some dragon fights and stuff. Now keep in mind, my gameplay ain't great, but should give you a fair representation of what the gameplay and stuff looks like. All right, so some negatives that we need to talk about because we want to do this fair. There are some things that you need to be aware of. There are a couple of bugs in the game. Most of those are in the jungle, and you need to just port to town and redo the quest, and it fixes it. I have not run into any of those yet, but they are possible to have that happen, and they're pretty easily fixed. There is still some optimization issues, so it is pretty taxing on your GPU unless you do something about it. So I've turned everything up for the video so you could see, but if you limit your FPS, this is default off. If you come in here, turn it on, limit it to around 60, it will significantly reduce the load on your GPU. And when you set up your gamma correction in the very beginning of the game, if you set it too high, like originally I set it, it was way up here, and it made the game just look like, I like to have brightness, but it kind of drowned the game out, washed the game out, but it also put a lot of load on my GPU. So if I found if I turned it to around the mid 40s, the game looked a lot better. Also go in and do, see, just to be transparent, if you try to do quality, you're going to have some high usage on here. I've got a 12 gig card, 3060. So if we just come in here and we take it to balanced and we go custom, and I just brought the, which if you have a super nice card, you're not going to have these issues. All right, we just bring everything down just a bit. And we significantly drop the load. They did say the optimization's coming. There's a patch coming next week to try to fix some of the optimization issues that they're having. But they just asked us to please be patient. They are a small studio, around 30 guys. They do want to listen to all the feedback. They do want to get it fixed. Whatever issues we have, whatever suggestions that we have. But they actually seem very passionate about what they're doing. They do play, like I said in the beginning of the video, they do play ARPGs. They're playing PoE 2 right now. They play Diablo 4, Diablo 3. They knew certain things when I asked them about, only Diablo players would know. They knew what I was talking about. So I think that this game is going to be really great if they can, keep it alive without doing live service. So that is, to me, it's a positive, but to others, it's a negative. They really just stressed they wanted to have a complete game before they looked at doing seasons and all that kind of stuff. They wanted their base game really tight and polished and complete. And I respect that a lot. I think that's the best move to do instead of trying to hammer out leagues or seasons during early access. I think that's a bad move. They do have a roadmap published, which is very nice. This is what we can expect to see them do. I did ask them what the pace of content was, or at least pace of updates was going to be as far as communication wise. They said every 2 months they anticipated a big patch with smaller patches coming in between those times, which was a pretty fair, I think was a pretty fair pace. But other than that, there was really, the drop rate might be a bit low. For some, that's a good thing. That's kind of one thing that stood out. The combat feels actually really good. WASD felt good. I prefer personally to use point and click. It's just what I like. But it does feel good. And people are going to ask me, does it feel PoE 2 good? It feels like WASD. So, I liked that we had some movement in the game. You don't level up too fast. It is, you do feel like you're earning your XP. There's no XP death penalty. Just the big question will be, can they keep up with the content? That's what we're all gonna be looking at. Yes, it's got, some people would call it a Diablo clone. Sure, call it that if you want to, but it's way better than Diablo 4. Anytime I try to play Diablo 4, I've already closed the game out by now. I'm really itching to continue to see what else the game has to offer. But excited for this game. Excited to make more content about it. Excited to stream it with y'all. Let me know in the comments if you plan on playing the game. I think for $20 to $25, it's an absolute steal. It's definitely one to add to the rotation. Again, not sponsored or anything by the video, just they gave me a copy to play, and after talking with them and playing with it last day and a half, 2 days, I'll be playing it pretty good bit. So anyway, that's enough rambling. This video is going to be way too long. I'm going to have some videos out about how to actually set up your Wyrmling, and some videos on how to do the Ancestral Grid, how it works, the right way to set it up, or I guess not the right way, how everything interacts with everything. So be looking out for those 2 videos coming out soon, probably today as well. Anyway, hit like and subscribe. Come join me on stream. We're going to be streaming this game at least for a few days, and we'll see y'all next time.